Yo,
Yebo, yebo.
can you hear me?
How are you?
I'm good. Where are you?
I'm downstairs, my man. I see you're
Okay.
also in EVE.
We might as well do this thing live.
How are you, my friend?
No, I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. So for those who don't know, this is Vafa, the comedian, the Persian that speaks every language, fluent vernacular. Why don't you
Exactly.
introduce yourself to the people?
How's it, guys? My name is Vafa, stand-up comedian and UCT student.
Future, well, civil engineer, because you already got that one degree, yeah?
Yeah. So just finishing up the masters now.
Mm. So, hey Joe, where did you learn to speak vernac?
Um, well, from the streets,
Eh.
from the streets. No, I grew up in Mafikeng, so that's where I learned Setswana. And then Xhosa while I was working as an engineer in the Eastern Cape. So I learned a little bit of Xhosa there.
Okay, so you
But,
weren't originally born in Persia.
no, never. I've never even been there.
Oh, okay, so you're an import. You're one of
I'm
us.
an import. Exactly. I'm an import that was made here. Can you imagine?
And how do people react when you speak vernac?
No, man. Obviously, at time surprised, but more often than not, they're happy. Everybody like I think that's a beautiful thing about
Mm,
especially indigenous African languages. When people hear you can speak it, they don't even worry if you like butcher it a bit. They're just happy that you
you're
know something.
embracing it.
Whereas, if you try to speak English and you don't know how to speak English, then everybody's just like on your case, like so it's a very different dynamic.
Yeah. So tell us
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
got into comedy, bro.
How do I get into comedy?
Yeah.
Um it was about so I was working as an engineer and I wanted to do like funny videos
Mm,
for just like on-screen stuff. And then a friend of mine, or actually a comedian that I met, he was like, "No, listen, your rite of passage into the comedy world is stand-up comedy."
mm.
So then I tried that, and from there, it was such a good feeling, oh, like scary,
Yeah.
but good. It's like when you're getting onto a roller coaster. Like when you're on top there, you're peeing yourself, but as soon as you get off, you're like, I want to go again.
I remember when
Um,
you threw me in for that one comedy session we did, and everybody was just staring. They didn't even laugh. It was yo. I was even butchering. I was making jokes about myself. I was trying so hard to quiet.
no, I remember before that thing, I was even we're sitting there, and then I was like, okay, Lebo, are you ready? Yeah, have you
Yeah.
got this thing? And you're like, yeah, no, I'm hella funny. Everybody digs my stuff. Um, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait to show you guys what I got. And so I'm thinking, yo, this guy's gassing himself. He's got it good. I ask around, have people seen you? They're like, yeah, man, this guy's dope. Don't worry about it. You don't even got to stress.
But engineers are a tough crowd,
You
eh?
know, no, I've heard more noise at a funeral speech. Funeral speeches, nobody speaks. Like people listen attentively because it's a serious occasion.
Yeah.
But it's quieter than that. Like there was
Hey,
nothing.
dude.
There
And I
wasn't.
was struggling. I remember there was only one joke that I closed with. And then people laughed, but like only one person was, it wasn't even like a laugh, it was like a ah. And then Lumjita, the one that came later, he said the same joke, but he said it way better. And then the whole crowd was laughing, and I was like, hey man, I want my kids. I said the exact same thing. Didn't.
No, man, it's so much pressure because as soon as, like, I feel that when you do public speaking, if you're like emceeing an event or whatever, nobody nobody expects you to be. They don't expect you to be funny. They just expect you to like run the ceremony, like give them the information. So if you are funny, it's a bonus, and then they're caught by surprise and they can laugh. But if you tell somebody that you're there to do comedy, then they're like, okay, let's see. So you can't you can't come with your small and yana things. Yeah. You need to be you need to be ready. You need to be ready.
So how many characters do you have? Because is it a thing of like you have a list of characters like teacher, spaza shop owner, and that, or is it just a thing of like when you get an idea, then you get into the role and you shoot?
For now, I think it hasn't developed into like proper characters. It's just like, get into a role, whatever I need, and then shoot. So like with different content creators, with like the visual stuff, so they'll say, listen, I need you to be this sort of guy, or I need you to be this sort of character, and then you try it out. But what's really nice about the internet is just it's like trial and error. You can do whatever you want. You can try something the one day. You can be whoever you want to be. So yeah, I've been having fun with that. I haven't boxed myself into saying, oh, okay, there's this and this and this and this and this.
Okay. I'm just changing my screen quick. Nah, that's good to know. So you're basically taking it as it comes, fluid like water. You'll see Pambi, you'll figure it out.
Exactly. Just having fun.
So I guess with your jokes, you don't put too much into like scripting a joke or something. Is it more like when it comes, you grab it from your thoughts, you put it down, and you're like, this can be something, then you try it out? Or is it a thing of like you sit and you're like, okay, this is the joke I'm gonna tell, then you focus on making visuals around that? How does it work?
So are you referring to like the stand-up comedy or the stuff on like
Actually both
sketches, or
the sketches and the stand-up?
So both of them, they start with an idea, a funny thought, a concept, something you may have observed or seen that's unusual or peculiar. And so you've got that idea. There might be a funny part about that. And then, you need to write it out and just make sure you structure it properly. And then you perform it. So sometimes then when you're performing it, you might get some creative click that goes, and then you go with that as well. But like I find I work better when I have it a little bit in the structure, to be like, okay, this is where I sort of wanted to flow. When you're working with other guys on sketches, it's like almost very important that you have like a script out, because the other guy needs to know what he needs to say. He doesn't know what your idea is.
Yeah.
So but different people work differently. Like I've seen people freestyle it completely. I've seen guys who need you to follow their script word for word or do things word for word. So and they both produce amazing work. So there's no right way of doing it.
So you've
your
never
job
had
is
like one take and then you were just like, nah, this isn't the one? Like, is there a bunch of content that we just haven't heard and a bunch of jokes you haven't said in stand-up that's just like, it's not the one? Or do you just let it go?
No, definitely, because you I think that's just an artist struggle, like with music, with everything, that you produce something and then you're probably the biggest critic in most cases of your work. You'll sit there and you'll be like, nah, this isn't good enough, or this isn't that. So likewise, I go through a lot of that, but yeah, I think it's so good to try and let go of that, because often people might see something in your work that you might not see yourself because you're so into it. With regard to takes, yes, there's at least 20, 30 takes before you see what you see. So So there's a lot of that. And I find that the earlier takes are better because there your energy is pumped up, you're more natural, everything is going.
And the
Now
longer
you have
you
to
go, then you lose sight. And it's just like,
sure. Now you have to say the same thing over and over. Knock knock. Who's there? Knock knock. Who's there? Knock knock. No.
oh,
So,
so
yeah.
then how
But
did you link up with the gents? Bafo, Kwa, Debe?
oh,
Is
okay.
it?
It was nice. They've been so welcoming. So it was first through social media,
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
seeing
so
each
you
other's
didn't
work.
you didn't know them beforehand?
No, 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 no.
Oh, that's nice.
So through them, they saw some of my work. We followed each other. So I became close with Robot Boy
Mm.
first. So yeah, I was quite close with him. And then through him, he actually introduced me personally to the rest of the gents.
Mm.
Whereas before it was just like a social media sort of interaction. But like as creatives, you look at other people's work and like you like it and stuff. And if they like your work, then it facilitates each other. Then
Mm.
they'll be like, okay, cool. Are you down to work? And they'll be like, yeah, dope. Let's do something. And it's been so nice that like a lot of growth comes from working together. A
You
lot of
learn
people
from
feel
each
that
other.
it's just them. They need to prove to everybody that they did it by themselves and everything. But in reality, nobody ever does everything by themselves. Like you help each other grow, you challenge each other,
Mm.
you teach each other things. So it's been dope. It's been really nice working with the guys.
And do you take some of your content from your stand-up into your digital space?
It's hard. So concepts are you can take the same concept. Like you could go on stage and speak about Woolworths,
Mm.
and then you can make a skit
What?
about Woolworths, or whatever it is.
Mm.
But you the way you convey the message is very different. So I can't. Some people can. Like I can't just stand in front of the screen and tell you exactly what I was going to say on stage because that depends on some social interaction, some laugh, some cues, some energy. Like
Yeah.
there's a whole rhythm about that. So me doing a sketch is different because the audience is already up front in front of a screen. So the way I perform that and the way you get that message across is very different. So you may, in some places, you need to change the whole script altogether because you can't
Yeah.
say things the way you would say it. In some ways, you may have to change the story altogether. But at the end of the day, the job is the same. You got to make people laugh. But you gotta make people laugh in a different sort of what was the word I used earlier? You'd need to convey the message in a different way.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah,
Mm.
concepts. Just to answer your question, concepts can be the same, but the way you do it can be miles apart.
And how are the different climates? Like, is your because I've seen on social media you're quite popular. Like, it's happening. It's nice. People are loving the content. But then, in terms of doing stand-up gigs, like, how would you say that the digital climate performs better? Or
It's I mean, it's very different spaces in terms of that. Like digitally, you could put out one video that could just go super viral, and then all of a sudden, everybody knows you, or everybody follows you.
I remember seeing your videos on WhatsApp statuses of my uncles, and I'm like, I know that guy. And then they're like, yeah, you see us? I'm like, yeah.
That's when you've made it. When you get onto uncles and aunts statuses, then you're like, I no, 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 no. So you see, there's that whole world of shareability. Like accessibility is so much quicker on social
Mm.
media. So if something is entertaining, it'll spread. Whereas in stand-up comedy, you need to go to gig by gig by gig, and you like now what you're seeing like 50 people in a room.
Mm.
So I could potentially put a video on the internet and in an hour, maybe it gets 1,000 views. So there's 1,000 people seeing it.
Yeah.
But now if I'm supposed to perform to 1,000 people at 50 people a night,
And
like,
venues and
I mean, 50 people is probably generous for this time right now in certain bars and certain places.
yeah.
So that's 20 nights
Mm.
that I need to actually go out and do something. Or I could just sit in front of my phone. And so the accessibility is different, but the skill is different and the work is different. So it doesn't mean that if you do a couple of videos on the internet, you'll be prepped for stage, because it's a different game. So you need to do the work wherever you want to be working.
Yeah.
You need to do your time. And I mean, you're never going to get booked to go and host the summers if you've been posting videos. Then somebody needs to see you on stage. They need to be able to tell. And for some people it's easier than others, like they catch on quickly. But for most people, you need to put in the time.
Surely confidence overcomes all, though. Because I think for me, even though
but look at you. Look at you. You're fairly confident, but bekunzima. It was a little bit tough.
No, look, I stand by my words. Engineers, that crowd was tough, eh? That was the first time I blew out. I was just like, damn. Like a poor
carpenter blames his tools. Don't blame the audience. That's the last. Oh man,
I'll take that. But then getting how
for that I just want, like, I hope you set up, like UCT Hip Hop Society sets up like a stage for you to go and perform to them, and then we'll see if it was only engineers or is it human beings as well. You'll probably get off the stage and be like, human beings are a problem.
They're a problem. They don't come. They don't have the vision, mama. They don't come. Listen, what was I gonna say? How hard or easy is it to actually get gigs? Because I know they got the comedy club here in Cape Town. I've been there a couple of times. There's a decent rotation whenever I went. But like in general in SA, how hard or easy is it?
So with stand-up, you there's different levels or different tiers of like comedian. So generally, like I don't know if it's an international standard, but definitely in South Africa, they judge you by time, like how much time you can perform. So they call the first level is called an open micer. So that's anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. So that's everybody who's from 0 years to you like graduate to the next level.
And 3 to 5 minutes sounds short, but it's very long, eh?
Yeah, especially when people aren't laughing, it can be hours. So you got open micers, and then after that you've got support acts who perform from like 8 to 10 to 15 minutes slots. And then you've got, after support acts, you've got headliner level. So a headliner is a guy that consistently can perform like 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So this is at a club. So they trust you to be able to, 9 out of 10 times, you can kill that slot that you're in. Then that means you're there,
Yeah.
So you start off at an open mic level, and you never get paid for that, or you hardly ever get paid actually for that. And there you just basically go and request, and most places who do comedy have those spots available. So if there's like a roster or whatever, you get in line for that and you go and perform there. So you build up, and the more reputable you get, the like more entertaining you are. People want you at their gigs so that other people can come to the gigs and. So so that's how you get more gigs. So the open mic things are readily available, but then again, you're fighting with everybody in that stage to get promoted to the next level. or to get good within that stage that people are like, oh, we can really trust this guy as an open micer. So there are gigs like in Cape Town. There's probably 7 or 8 gigs a week, various levels. Okay, there may be like 10, 20 people in some, and there may be like 50 to 100. And then if you go to the Cape Town Comedy Club, it's like 200 people in the venue. So the amount of people changes, and the demographic also changes from place to place. But there are platforms, and it's growing. I mean, year by year, there's more comedians, there's more. So comedians end up actually creating these spaces.
Yeah.
So if I'm a comedian and I'm like, okay, I want to create a room, I'll just approach a restaurant and be like, hey, listen, I want to do this thing here. Can I do it here? This, and then make it happen.
Yeah. And how do you read the room, bruh? Like, do you look for social cues or something, or is it just the laugh? Is it only sound?
You ask them if they're engineers or not, and then you know what this is two type of.
Oh yeah. So who? Yeah.
No. Well, I think it's you get better with time. I'm always learning, and so one is like experience. You know, if you've played a room similar to this before, you know what works, and sometimes you learn as you go. So you're just saying your jokes and just like, oh, they laughed at that and they didn't laugh at that. So maybe they're more like, they like more of this sort of stuff. So let me give them a little bit more. And then you give them a little bit more and you're like, oh, they really like it. Then you do that.
Okay.
So reading actually sometimes just happens. As much as you may know everything about the people, you could get there and they could surprise you that they're not those type of people.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hey. And who inspired you? Like, who did you look up to as comedians? Or was there never really that thing?
To be honest, I never watched so much stand-up comedy at all. I would watch one or two of the big names. That's it. But more commercial things in any case, like, okay, everybody in South Africa has watched Trevor Noah. I never thought to myself, okay, I want to be like that or do that. Because also my thing into stand-up comedy was quite quick. I said I wanted to do this video thing. Somebody's like, try this. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So even now, I don't watch so much. Like I'll maybe some people, because you're a comedian, people just send you stuff. They're like, oh, did you see this? Did you see this? Like an engineer, and they point to a roof and they're like, hey, have you seen how they designed that roof? So I watch things haphazardly.
Yeah.
I must say, so ever since I started, I didn't know who Dave Chappelle was before 3 years ago. I didn't know that name. Yeah. But now I can tell you that he's definitely somebody that I admire, like a lot of people do, for his work.
That man is funny.
But a lot of other comedians, even say open micers or like open micers in South Africa, I look at them and I like certain aspects and I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. That's great. That's great. That's great. So I would say I've got like millions of role models, but they're all role models for certain aspects.
Yeah.
And it's like once you get into the art, it's just, you see differently. You don't sit there and laugh anymore. Now you just like, oh, okay. Like right now, will probably watch the same thing. You're laughing. And it's actually so sad. When I watch comedy specials, I'm just looking there and I'm just like, I see what he did there. Nice. I like it. Like that's, I'm not laughing.
Okay. So it's kind of, it's ruined for you a little bit. You're no longer a spectator, you're a student.
Exactly. You're sitting there with like a different eye. Yeah. But I think there's also times where I just let go and I'm just like, okay, I don't need to be working now.
Yeah.
Let me just enjoy this.
So last question I wanted to ask is where you want to take this thing? Like into, because just where you want to take this thing? Or is it just a thing that you're letting grow naturally?
I want to take this thing to Maseru.
Massive.
Like, yes, if if you can penetrate into Lesotho, that means you've been around the world, because those guys don't have technology. So if they know about you, I mean, that's your home country, is it not?
No.
Why was it? I think I was saying that to try and relate and resonate. Are you not from Lesotho? I swear I saw you outside the Lesotho shop. Oh, you didn't see. Emma, weren't you giving me a pamphlet? Come to our opening prayer, Lesotho shop. Oh, you wore that hat one day.
Yeah,
to school.
I have the hat.
You see.
So there's family there.
You can't just be culturally appropriating other countries, my
Oh, what joke. No, man, little like Mazoot, but like I'm from the Gauteng, Sibukeng side.
The Gauteng branch.
Yeah, the Gauteng branch. Then I'm imported.
Okay, no, we're the same then. We're the same. Yeah. But the thing is, they don't recognize me in Iran. If I was to go there now, they'll be like, you're not from here.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, they don't also recognize me here in South Africa. They'll be like, you're not from here. So
you're just living on border fences, eh?
I'm an international street kid. I'm a... international status, homeless.
I hear you. Yo.
Okay, but straight up, where I want to take this is like I want to affect millions of people's lives, millions. So, for me, I don't really care whether it's on stage, or in front of a camera, or on screen, or wherever. Like, I want to, job number one, I want to make people laugh, and I want to be able to say influence people's thought in a positive way.
Yeah.
So I find that comedy is such a nice, beautiful, and I think that's one of the biggest things I admire about Dave Chappelle, is that he does the comedy, but it's like you catch his message very quickly. Like whereas other people, they may have a message, or even me as a comedian, I may have a thought of when I do something, but when you see it on screen, you don't think immediately, he's trying to tell us that we should love each other, or we should be united. That's not the first thought. You're laughing at something else. So I think with the art, the better you get, you can really get those messages and concepts across, and at the same time make people laugh. So I want to be able to affect millions of people's lives like that. Give them positive, influential messages, but at the same time do them a service of making things a little bit lighter than what they are.
Okay. Well,
so
it's been a pleasure to speak to you, my man.
No,
You're a very funny international street kid, eh?
No, and I got so much love for you.
Yeah.
So and it's got nothing to do with your comedic ability. It's just
shout out, my man. Where can the people find you?
Well, on Instagram mostly at VAFAFRICA, and of late YouTube has been picking up. So Vafa Naraghi, my YouTube channel. So find me there. Twitter and Facebook, I do have accounts, but hey, I don't know. I don't know how to use those things, man.
I recently tried to do Twitter, but people are dry.
People are fighting. They're fighting there. It's just like, why war?
It's too much.
So yeah.
Okay.
So mostly Instagram and YouTube, but who knows? I may learn how to fight and go into Twitter.
We'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully, I mean, I always tell people it's Instagram and YouTube. That's the way, but everything else is there. But we'll see. Otherwise,
I guess
you keep well. We'll chat soon.
Will do. Thank you so much for this.
Ah, it's a pleasure. Sure.
Sharp, sharp.